Yes, the Galaxy S26 series is more expensive. Yes, some units are powered by the Exynos processor, and there is definitely no Galaxy S26 Edge. That's dead. Maybe. What is going on, people? This is Janhoi McGregor here with Forbes, and Samsung gave me the chance to fondle the new Galaxy S26 phones last week at a press briefing in London, and fondle I did, respectfully, of course. Immediately after the presentation, I asked the first thing that came to my mind, which was how much will the phones be? Because I know that is the #1 pressing question for all Samsung fans and for other smartphone fans as well. In the UK, the base model starts at £879, the Plus model starts at £1,099, and the Ultra is £1,279. It's only a small bump between £30 and £100 across the entire range, which aligns with previous rumors that said Samsung was planning to increase the price by $32 to $62. All devices start at 256 gigabytes, with the cheapest 128 gigabyte option now fully eliminated. So you're going to pay more no matter what, because the base storage is double what it was last year. So I think the profits were always slim on that 128 gigabyte model. And with the memory chip crisis, it made sense for Samsung and Samsung's bottom line to get rid of it entirely while raising prices slightly to balance out its manufacturing costs. So that price hike is down to the global shortage of memory that's being eaten up by AI data centers. So if you've tried to buy basically any hardware this year, or you've tried to buy RAM for your computer, you'll notice that the price has doubled, if not more, in a bunch of cases. And those prices are now being passed on to consumers, you. But you know, the AI thing is definitely worth it, right? I'd much rather have my social feeds dominated by AI slop than have, I don't know, a steam machine, maybe, I guess. Anyway, Samsung really wanted to drive home the point that the price increase comes with some worthy upgrades. We'll know more when I can actually play with the phone for a significant period of time. But the most notable is Samsung's new privacy screen, which I did get a chance to spend 20 minutes with. As you can see here, with the most aggressive mode on, the screen blacks out at certain angles, and it starts to go opaque quite quickly. As you move away and move around the phone, you can see it transition from just a clear screen to slightly gray to blacker to completely opaque. Now, I'd be interested to see how truly private this is when I'm sat on a crowded London Underground tube where you're squeezed in like sardines and people are right next to you and they can see your phone in quite a clear line of sight, but it clearly works at least. You can also set the privacy screen to work on select apps or notifications in the settings menu, which I thought was quite a nice touch. What that means is if I'm typing in my PIN, it can just block out the PIN area. For notification from select apps, from say WhatsApp comes up, that can also be blocked out while the rest of the screen is still visible. So it's completely customizable. This is also built directly into the hardware. It's not a software trick. So to me, this is actually useful innovation that people will use in their day-to-day lives rather than demoware that we see with new AI tools or just a vast amount of new features that are often dropped with new phone launches. This is something that is easy to start, easy to use, and actually makes a significant difference to how you use your phone in terms of privacy. Also, Samsung's own personal assistant Bixby has had an upgrade too. It effectively operates as a natural language device expert. So what that means is you can ask it to find or change settings without even knowing the name of that particular setting. For example, you could say, my eyes are strained, and it will turn on the eye comfort shield. To me, this is a genuinely helpful use of AI, making sense of increasingly complex phones and making thousands of baffling features that are released every few weeks. For the cameras, nighttime videography benefits from improved noise reduction and brighter videos thanks to the wider aperture in the 200 megapixel main sensor. There's also a new generative AI image editing tool that lets users add or remove elements from images with a text prompt. The demo I was shown was putting a red hat on someone's heads, or turning a bottle of water into red wine, or adding or removing bites from food. When it was demoed to me, I expected the AI to kind of freak out and produce wild results, as we've all seen when we've used AI editing tools, but it actually did exactly as it was asked. Except in one demo, the Galaxy S26 said it couldn't make edits because there was no internet connection. And apparently it does work offline, but we'll have to see when I can play with the device properly. Now, if you were worried, it is true that Samsung's Exynos 2600 is powering the standard S26 and the S26 Plus in Europe at least, with the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 powering the S26 Ultra. Samsung has been open about the public's somewhat justified negative attitude towards Exynos chips, but it does say that it has improved its processors by adopting a 2nm architecture. But of course, you know, until myself and other reviewers get their hands on the phones, we won't know how true that is. So there is definitely no Galaxy S26 Edge at this launch. There may be later in the year, but as we've seen, leaks have said for months now that Samsung planned to release it and then promptly cancelled it after seeing how poorly the S25 Edge and the iPhone Air sold. But I was told at the event that the technology that makes the Galaxy S25 Edge so slim, which is basically miniaturizing several internal components and developing a new motherboard design, has been repurposed for the Galaxy S26 series. That makes total sense because Samsung did the same thing with the Fold 7, which is why that particular phone is so slim in comparison to the Fold 6. Now, the Galaxy S26 Ultra is both slimmer and lighter than its predecessor, which is quite impressive considering it's the next generation phone. The rounder edges across the series are also a very nice touch and feel less boxy than the last generation. Despite being lighter and slimmer, the battery size remains the same at 5,000 milliamps for the Galaxy S26 Ultra. That's impressive because it's a slimmer and lighter phone, but if you're expecting a giant carbon silicon battery, as some people had predicted, it's bad news. It's not in there. For the other phones, the base Galaxy S26 battery is bigger at 4,300 milliamps, while the Plus stays the same at 4,900 milliamps. The Galaxy S26 Ultra can also charge up to 75% in 30 minutes at 60 watts with wireless charging at 25 watts. So the other bit of bad news, if you're a MagSafe fan, there are no magnets built into the Galaxy S26 series. Instead, Samsung said all official cases will have magnets for Qi 2 wireless charging. Now, the reasoning was that almost everyone uses cases anyway. I think the reality is probably more that the magnets can interfere with S Pen support. We've seen that in other cases. People on Reddit have said that their S Pen isn't working properly because of magnets. So potentially that's the issue, but there is no magnets built into the Galaxy S26 Ultra or the other two Galaxy S26 phones. So what do we think about the Galaxy S26 series? I mean, obviously for me, no magnets built into the phone is disappointing. The camera upgrades are kind of expected. It's hard to know how good they actually are without testing the phone properly. I only got like 30 minutes to an hour to mess around with them in like a controlled environment, but we'll see later on when I actually have the phone in my hands. But so far they seem decent upgrades. But for me, the most interesting improvement this year is definitely that privacy screen. To me, that is genuine innovation that makes the phone stand out in comparison to the Google Pixel 10 series or the iPhone 17 series. It's something very, very interesting, and it's also a hardware upgrade rather than just a software upgrade. Elsewhere, faster charging and also the larger battery on the base model is a very welcome upgrade. It'd be easy to say this is evolution over revolution, but the overall thing I got from this presentation and seeing the phones in hand is that the Galaxy S26 series is a deeply premium experience. Like every part of the phone has been refined. The new AI tools are very targeted towards a real user end experience rather than just demoing what it could potentially do. And I think Bixby's new role as a sort of like 2026 Microsoft Clippy regen is a perfect example of that, but also will be quietly very popular. So if you want to buy one of these phones, they will be available to purchase on March 1st. And Samsung confirmed to me that the double storage deal, which had been rumored to be axed because of the squeeze on profits by the memory chip crisis, is returning. So that means Galaxy S26 buyers can pick up the 512GB model, for example, for the price of the 256GB storage option. We'll have to see what this means for future discounts. Samsung is typically quite aggressive about its promotions and dropping the price of its flagships throughout the year. But with the squeeze on profits because of the AI chip crisis, that may not be the case in 2026. So that's the Galaxy S26. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you next time.